I can remember as if it happened last night. The feeling that overcame me and consumed me was the first time I ever felt what forgetting an assignment meant. I can still feel the anxiety and stress of not only having to tell my parents I forgot to do my homework, but that I would need their help the rest of the night. I was in fourth grade at this time, and I remember my week was busy with the hockey tournament, and not to mention wanting to play with my friends in my free time. At this time, I was attending a private school, and I only mention this because they are notorious for dishing out more homework than I think is necessary. I was used to long days of work with my teachers, with work that my teachers gave me, but this time I really dropped the ball. It was one of our fourth grade end of year assignments that had just eluded my mind to even start to work on the tiniest bit. My assignment: memorize all of the presidents. Now, this takes place when there were only 42 presidents, so luckily I was spared another 5, or rather 4, to remember. Nevertheless, this was not a fun task, and was why I put it on the back burner. I will always remember it was a Wednesday because that was when we had our hockey games. It was usually pretty late when we got home after my games, and my routine was to hop in the shower, eat dinner, and head to bed. My parents were also tired as my mom was a stay-at-home mother, and at this time period in our lives, she was driving me and my brother all over town to our schools and extracurricular activities. This was also a long day for my father, as he would leave work an hour early, drive over an hour in traffic from the other side of town just to watch my games every Wednesday. I can mention, I too was tired after skating all night in pads and slamming into the other players, which was frowned upon, but what do you expect when boys are playing hockey? Anyways, this post-hockey Wednesday night was different. This night I made a haunting memory for life. As I finished my dinner, my mom did her usual routine and asked me if all my schoolwork was done. I went to check to reassure her that it was complete for school tomorrow. I pulled out my syllabus, and to my surprise, my mom's eyes got big and asked me, "What is this assignment?" I completely forgot. I put memorizing the presidents to the side because I wanted to hang out with my friends instead. And this moment right here was my first bitter taste of procrastinating. Without hesitation, my father laughed as he was realizing I had to jam all these presidents in order with about 30 to 45 minutes left of the night. I was determined to get it done, mostly because I did not have a choice. My parents started with the simple question of asking me, which presidents do I know? I quickly responded back, George Washington and Bill Clinton. This made my dad laugh even harder, as I was only able to remember the first and last president at that time. Again, this story takes place around 1998-1999. I saw my mom's face drop as she realized we had so much work to do. Now, some might say, just go on the internet or YouTube and find a quick memorization song or tip. Well, as stated, this took place before YouTube was even invented, and Google was as helpful as your aunt who took a couple classes at the local college. So there were the three of us. My brother had long gone to bed as he was the studious son in the family. My mom found a list of presidents, and I started to look over them right before she shouted that she found a poster. A poster? What's the difference between that and my list? Well, this poster had their faces on it, and me being a visual learner, I knew it was game, set, and match. I had this assignment on lock. My parents handed me what I felt like a huge poster with all the names and faces of the presidents in order, and I got to work. I told them to give me about 15 minutes and I would come back in and see how far I could get. My parents had a huge master bedroom, so I went off near their bay window as they stayed near their bed, and I sat in the rocker in seclusion and began to memorize what I saw. I went over them rather quickly, but my confidence told me I could do all of them the first round. Honestly, I was just tired and wanted to go to bed, so getting this over with as fast as I could was the only thing on my mind. I finished the last practice round in my head, and I knew I was about to rattle all 42 in a row. I stood up out of the chair with the utmost confidence anyone had seen in a fourth grader and marched over to my parents to not only get the assignment over with, but to impress them, as they both were certain I could not memorize all 42 in that time frame. It was my turn to show them what I was capable of. I was ready to rattle off all 42 and head to bed. I had my parents' attention as they were waiting until I started off. Washington, Adams, Jefferson. In my head, I knew Abe was 16 and about 1/3 the way done, so I just needed to hit that mark to keep it flowing in my head. But wait, right before Mr. Lincoln, there was a president whose name does not phonetically make sense. I came to the 14th president, Madison, and at this time I can tell my parents are impressed with my knowledge, but the speed I am saying them at. However, the momentum died just as fast as Thomas the Train heading off his rails. Like I said, there was no internet around, and I never heard or seen the name Buchanan. I was in 4th grade, so I sound out the words. So as soon as I finished saying Madison, I went on to name the 15th president. I knew him all so well. I pronounced his name, well, as it was spelled, Buchanan. This sent both my parents into a laughter I'd never heard before. They both fell into tears, and I was left basking in confusion. Why are they laughing? Was this assignment a prank? Did someone pass gas, and I did not hear it? No, I simply mispronounced the president's name. And from then on, anytime, and I mean, anytime my parents can find a way to work Buchanan in a sentence, they will take it. I do not know why it is so funny to us, but it is a story they have never let me live down, and it is told at every opportunity that it presents itself. Oh, and by the way, I did memorize all the presidents, and the next day I can thankfully say I pronounced all their names correctly.